Welcome to the Business of Preschool podcast for owners who want to lead well, grow smart, and build a business that's truly worth something. Hosted by Chelsea Rue, owner, author, and childcare sales specialist. This show gives you the insight and the inside scoop to run your school like a business and sell when the time is right.
Hey everyone, I'm Chelsea Rue, the host of the Business of Preschool podcast, and I am here with Sam, our sparkly insurance chick, and we are at the Born to Teach conference here in Houston. And so it's been really, really fun and upbeat. So we look a little rough because we're tired. It is 5 o'clock and everyone is getting ready for the award ceremony and sneaker ball. But we wanted to kind of come and connect and just talk about some of the insights from this conference so far. And I wanted to kind of ask Sam what's going on with her sessions and that's going to get cut out.
Chop that.
Watch, we should leave it as a blooper reel.
Might go viral.
Okay, new to the Business of Preschool podcast is a blooper reel where all the bad things go. All right, so let's talk about, first I think it's interesting to get where you came from. Where did you come from? Where did you go? I'm from God Night Joe. Okay, we're two Texas chicks, so that's okay. But
yeah, how did I get here?
Yeah, how did you get here?
So, not how you would think at all. I don't know if you've ever heard me share this story, but my son was enrolled at his preschool. And for those of you that don't know or follow me, Tatum is very accident prone. And that started at a really early age. So I get a call one day from the director at his preschool, and she says very calmly, you know, like directors do, because they don't want to cause panic in the parent. So she's like, hey, just wanted to let you know that there was an incident at school today and Tatum might need some medical attention. I was like, oh, okay. So didn't sound super urgent. So I literally finished the email that I'm typing because I work right down the street and bring myself to a stopping point before I go get my son who needs this medical attention because, you know, I didn't sense any urgency or panic in her voice. I get there. I should have sensed some urgency. Instant mom guilt when I rounded the corner and made eye contact with my son. Like, y'all, he had this huge gash in his forehead, like huge gash in his forehead. And I had to immediately check my face because my facial expressions are loud. And I realized if I'm like, oh my God, it's going to cause him panic. So swoop him up. We go to urgent care, and in the car, I'm like, it's going to be okay. Like everything's going to be okay. The doctors will take care of you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ended up being a very traumatic ordeal. The numbing medicine, he needed stitches. Numbing medicine did not.
For you or him?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Numbing medicine didn't numb anything. And so when they start stitching him up, like he's screaming bloody murder because he feels every bit of that needle going in and out of his skin. So they ended up having to call additional staff in to hold he's not even 4 years old at this time. So my husband's now in the room, the doctor, and then two other staff members are holding my not even 4-year-old at this table who is wailing all over the place, screaming, "Mommy, help me." All I could do was go like this and curl up in a ball in the corner because I couldn't save him. I couldn't stop what was going on. He needed the stitches. And I knew if I rescued him in that moment, like there was no way he was ever going to let them touch him again. Mm-hmm. Probably would have some serious trauma about any other doctor ever coming near him again. I'm like, I have to get through this. He has to get through this. It'll be done in a minute. Anyways, fast forward a couple days later, we stay at home, love it on each other because we both need that reassurance. Like, mommy is going to be here to protect you. I've got you. Because I didn't save him on that table when he was screaming for me, and it broke my heart. Anyways, director calls, she checks on us, makes sure that he's doing okay. And when I finally take him back, she knows that I work at the insurance agency that insures that preschool. And when she caught me dropping him off, she said, "Will our insurance cover this?" And it was really like a light bulb moment for me. I feel like I stared at her like a deer in the headlights. Like, why don't you know that? as your agents, we should be doing a better job making sure that you know if an incident like that is covered and that the insurance that you're paying for protects you from that. And that Tatum's incident at preschool is what led me to realizing that there's a need in this space for somebody to teach and educate educators on the topics of insurance.
And so I think that's what Sam's done really, really well. So we've known each other now for quite a while. We've shared a room at a conference before. And actually,
Chelsea doesn't like my noisemakers. It's fine.
Okay, no, we just couldn't agree on which white noise to do. And like in the middle of the night, she changed it. I chose the wrong one, y'all. She let me choose, which was the problem. It was her white noise machine. But actually, let's go back to that conference for a second, because I think that there's some cool things that were brought out at that conference. And so we went to the Childcare Aware.
Okay, I was like, I've been like, which conference? We go to several.
Because I think it's
Childcare Aware of
it's
America,
really
yes.
pivotal in your journey and your why and what you're contributing to the industry. And so not only does she spend a lot of time talking and educating owners, and she spends a lot of time advocating on our behalf as an industry. And so when insurance started to become an issue,
2023.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking 2 years ago. 2 years ago, she really was like, okay, someone has to step up to the plate and start educating people. And I've got to give Sam mad credit because she did that. She doesn't get like paid to do that. Mm-hmm. She does that because she really is passionate about the industry and cares. And so do you want to talk a little bit about what you've seen through that advocacy a little bit, and like how when you've started trying to raise awareness, what hurdles have you faced within the industry and then outside of the industry?
Okay, there's a lot that was a whole lot.
I know, that was I'm sorry.
Okay, what have I faced and what hurdles? That one's easy. So insurance is a very heavily regulated it's a very heavily regulated industry, much like childcare. And so there's lots of hoops to jump through. Well, we're going through, these insurance companies are able to change their underwriting guidelines quickly that it directly impacts owners quickly. But to make any changes on an advocacy level in order to get legislation involved that could impact changes to where it doesn't directly impact childcare owners as much, that is like pulling teeth. Mm-hmm. I mean, I give props to everybody that has been longstanding in advocacy because I had no idea how much hard work, and it can be very frustrating because one of the biggest hurdles that I've run into, I've created letters for people to send to their legislators to make them aware with the links to know exactly who their reps are and literally highlight the sections that like, look, these 6 areas are all you have to change. And the lack of participation, that's a frustrating hurdle because I'm like, I can't care about this more than the people that it directly impacts. Like, y'all have to care about this enough to take action. And that's been one of the most frustrating hurdles for me. So not only is it difficult because we also have like data, let's say, you got a call, you sent that letter in.
I was about to say,
you got somebody that had a conversation with you and wanted to learn and found this, oh my gosh, I haven't heard of this. The next hurdle that you run into is that these people in a position of authority want to see hard facts. They want to see data. They want to know that it's more than just a Chelsea problem to bring a kid's place. They want to know that it's impacting the larger variety or the larger population of people. And that's really hard to get when you don't have participation from people. So that's been my most frustrating part.
And I can see that. So now, since this is the Business of Preschool podcast, I think this is actually a really natural segue. So let's talk about the impact of insurance on, I know it just popped in the head. No, but what is the impact of insurance on a business. Let's start with the impact of having the right insurance before we talk about like the wrong, like, or not having insurance. So let's talk about like, what are the benefits of insurance, and not just when there's a storm and your roof leaks and that gets repaired. I think we can all agree, we understand insurance works in that way.
Yep. Property coverage is a little bit easier to understand because it's very black and white. You know, if you have a tornado that rips off your building, obviously insurance is there to replace it. But from a liability standpoint, and I don't know if y'all have seen this, I have heard of this billboard, and I also get ads forwarded to me all the time on Facebook from like attorneys that sponsor ads that say we sue daycares, we sue childcare, like literally targeting parents. Because we are in that type of society now. We are very sue happy. Well, I want to see that billboard because I want to put it in my slides. So you need to tell me where to find that so I can take a picture of it. But liability, you know, those tend to be the most costly type of insurance claims and unpredictable because you never know how much the attorney is going to try and seek. It could be $100,000. It could be $1 million. It could be, who knows? But if you don't have liability coverage, and depending on the circumstance, I mean, if you don't have enough coverage, which would trigger an umbrella policy, a lot of people don't purchase an umbrella policy, especially now, because not only are they hard to obtain, but they're expensive. Insurance in general is expensive right now. But it's also hard to find umbrella policies for childcare owners. So what makes it really difficult about insuring childcare is you have no idea what the potential cost impact could be when you're sued for something. Mm-hmm. And so it really is a gamble in trying to figure out, okay, is just a general liability policy with a $3 million aggregate limit, is that going to be enough to protect my business? Or do I need an umbrella? This is why it's really important to have an agent that understands your industry. Shameless plug, but it's true, because if you, like, my recommendation is typically to add an umbrella when you're a multi-site owner, because when you have more than one location, people will look at you like you have a target on your back. You have all these dollars. They see what you charge in tuition. They're not looking at what your other expenses are, your $50,000 insurance cost. They're thinking, oh, you're charging me, $500 a week for a toddler. Like, you're a millionaire and I can make bank by suing you.
So I also remember we had a cool conversation, and I'm thinking back to Childcare and I wanted to talk about the deductible component and what you would need in reserves. You vaguely remember this conversation. We were talking about how much you need in reserves before your insurance policy would kick in, and what from that, like preparing your business. You remember this conversation a little bit? So one of the things I'm fascinated with is how can you insulate and protect your business as best as you can. So we can never know when the crazy freak accident is going to happen. Mm-hmm. But if we're prepared, we have insurance, that's great. But insurance doesn't write you a check the next day or the next week necessarily. So I think a question that I've always wondered is, how long does that take? How much money should I have in reserves? Yeah, insurance might reimburse me later, but what can I plan for, and what could that look like?
Okay, so also a lot to unpack. And we're what I call a rainy day fund, that reserve thing that Chelsea is talking about, that really comes to play more on the property side, because those
are immediate.
Usually, because the idea is, well, we need to get you up and running, or at least temporarily sustained to keep a further damage from happening. But depending on your area, Chelsea's in Houston, so her wind-hail deductible is outrageous. You have to know what your wind-hail deductible is going to be, because that rainy day fund, that reserve, if you've got a 5% wind-hail deductible and you don't realize that, and 5% of your building means that before the insurance company will pay anything, you're paying out of pocket $50,000 and you don't have $50,000 set aside, what are you going to do? You're just SOL. to be quite frank. So you really have to understand what the requirements are of your policy. Again, property coverage is more common to see those kinds of high deductibles. But if you don't know what's expected of you or when the insurance company is going to step in and pay to know what your reserve needs to be, you're already putting yourself behind.
Well,
now liability, that's a different story. It's becoming more common for liability coverage to have a deductible, but they're typically more affordable, like $2,500, $5,000, not a super stretch. Now we're seeing more abuse policies have higher deductibles, $10,000, $25,000. So you really have to pay attention to your policy, your renewal quotes when you get them. You have to know what those deductibles are and understand how they work.
So would a good idea, because I talk about building an emergency fund, would a good idea be to look and say, okay, let's look at what my deductible is and plan to try to build up probably that much plus some, because the insurance never fully makes you whole. There's always some gaps, whether it be some, you lost
the right policy, Chelsea.
If you have a situation and you lose kids and revenue, I've noticed I haven't seen a lot of the lost revenue as part of policies in the past several years.
Okay.
It used to be, I think it was Markel that it was the norm with back in the day.
So it's interesting that you say that, because I have a lot of clients that there really needs to be a lot more hand-holding when it comes to handling loss of revenue or business interruption claims, because a lot gets lost in translation. And so if you don't have somebody that closely follows that and is in constant communication with you, your agent is very much kept out of the loop. So if you don't tell them that, hey, I don't feel like I'm getting reimbursed what I should be, or I don't feel like this policy is covering me the way that should be, we literally, no news is good news, because we're assuming that everything is being paid out the way that it should be, that y'all are working directly with the adjuster.
Right.
We are very much kept out of the loop unless we're specifically told, hey, something doesn't feel right. At that point, I interject and I'm like, what's going on here, guys? And we'll help collect documentation and make sure to stay on top of that adjuster. But a lot gets lost in the translation of what information needs to be collected to show that there's been a loss of revenue. Did you have to turn away kids? If so, do you have documentation of how many kids you turned away and what the tuition would have been? Was it because you didn't have space in that classroom because there was a repair being made due to the parent drove through the building, which surprisingly happens a lot.
I have had a parent hit my building.
I've had
multiple times.
Three times. And, how?
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, I have legitimately had that happen several times. Like the fact that my directors can call me with that, and I'm somehow not surprised. I'm baffled that it can happen.
Building,
but I'm like, huh? Oh, and Amazon loves to run into my building as well.
I've got a client in Georgia that I absolutely adore, and any truck, like the moving truck style, her awning,
that's ours.
Like 10 times has been hit now.
Yeah.
And it's just
anytime there's our non-normal Amazon driver,
she's put up what do you call the big pillar?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. But
she's put up signs with the heights. It's still.
If it wasn't right outside our door and protect rain and, parents getting in, I'd just do away with it because it's a nightmare. But anyway.
Squirrel.
Okay. So we kind of talked about make sure you have that emergency fund, because I don't think people talk about that. I really don't. And I don't think a lot of owners are realizing the peace of mind that could create for you, not just the emergency fund for your insurance, but the emergency fund in general. Because when an emergency happens, right, and typically when you need your insurance, there's some sort of emergency.
Yep.
Do you want your first thought to be, how on earth am I going to pay for this?
Yeah.
And so...
Or the peace of mind that, I know how I'm going to pay for this because I planned for it in advance.
Right.
Now, I want to add a piece that bothers me. Not all agents are created equal. I am a very transparent person. I will tell you exactly how it is, but I can't tell you how many times I review policies for people and they have no idea what their coverage consisted of, what their deductibles looked like. And y'all, at the end of the day, an insurance agent is a salesperson. want to find someone that has your best interest at heart and is not just doing their job to sell you on something. Because there have been so many people that I'm like, do you realize your deductible is $75,000? What? I had no idea my deductible was $75,000. Or did you realize you weren't covered for this, that, or the other? They have no idea because their agent is a charming person and, you know, a likable person, and not knocking charmable, likable people, but they also need to be people of integrity and people that are going to tell you the truth. And I feel like there are some agents that will just kind of skirt not likable information about your policy, just kind of, you know, breeze over that without fully disclosing what the repercussions are. And that bothers me to my core. I've run into it a lot. Shady agent chronicles, what I call it.
And I think that is true with all of the people you bring on your team. And right, as a business owner, we feel so alone and isolated. However, what we don't realize is we have a team. Right? So, and not just our director or our leadership team. We have a team that surrounds us, our insurance agent, our CPA or accountant, our attorney, you know, like all of these people you need on your team. It is really important to have a team. Let's start with that. And then it's important to know that your team knows this industry. And that's true when you're, you know, first starting out. I hear a lot of people, so, you know, with helping people buy schools, sell schools, things like that, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to try to get insurance from Allstate, you know, or their local person that does their house and some of these sorts of things. And, you know, my cautionary tale with that is, do they understand the liability with this industry in particular? Do they understand what coverages we need and what coverages we really might not need? Right? Because
let you make that decision. Because you have to, it needs to be fully explained.
Because you do have to prioritize. I only have a certain amount of money in the budget for insurance. Yes, it would be nice to have
a cyber policy.
I was going to say cyber without saying cyber.
But that's always the extra one I get asked about. And then everybody's like, yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice, but when we're facing, you know, 20% increases in renewals every year, is that worth it? And you have to make that up, you know, that mind up on your own, but you also need to have someone with integrity who's going to not pressure you and give you crazy, you know, horror stories that are from different industries. You know, or it'd be nice to have, but you know what? Here's 5 things you could do with your staff that are going to drastically decrease your exposure on cyber. You know, like,
you may, you can't afford the policy. Here's something else that you can do to help protect yourself.
Now, there is a policy that I think doesn't get talked about a lot, but I wonder if, in the rising cost of insurance, and we really don't want to put things on our policy, you talked about in your session today, you know, you don't necessarily want to report and claim everything, every windshield crack and things like that. But so there's a policy that I think is almost inexcusable not to have, and that's that student accident. Because do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because for me, that has saved our programs and protected that primary policy so many times. And I think it also, because it's a pretty quick, it's easy, it doesn't get reported to your primary, your big kahuna. And a lot of times it pays out enough that parents are happy with the bumps and bruises. So you want to talk about that policy?
So the student accident medical policy, student accident medical, any combination of those, it essentially acts as a buffer to your liability insurance. And not only that, but it's so much so that a lot of liability insurance companies are now requiring that we provide proof of an accident medical policy in place in order for them to offer liability terms. And a lot of them are taking it even a step further and want to see that the policyholder that we're trying to get coverage for has a policy in place that they're offering the accident medical policy up front to parents, like making that part of your policy and procedure, that when a parent, let's say my incident with Tatum, when the director called me, what should have happened was when I came to pick him up and saw that terrible gash in his forehead, the director says, "Hey, I know it looks bad. Please know that we have an accident medical policy in place for this. We've got your back. It will take care of the out-of-pocket expenses for the urgent care," and immediately make me feel that sense of, okay, this financial burden is not going to be a burden. Like, I'm not going to have to worry about, can I afford, and our financial circumstances were very different when Tatum was that little, and it would have been a financial burden to my family. So it makes letting parents know, well, having this policy in place first, and then letting parents know that you have that policy in place so that they feel, okay, they've got me. They don't have to take to Facebook or reaching out to somebody's cousins, friends, brothers, something or another that knows an attorney and is going to try and seek a settlement for stitches. Or, little Timmy fell and knocked a tooth out, tripping over his own feet.
Chipped teeth. Like that.
It happens. Well, and not all accident medical policies will cover dental. So making sure that you get an accident medical policy that covers dental is really important.
So I know I don't want you to quote rates, but just so people understand, we're talking less than $10 a child, by far.
Yeah. I would say ours is $675 per child per year. So 100 students in your school, $675 annual cost.
And it covers up
no deductible
to 20,000 somewhere in there.
Mine covers up to 200,000 in medical expenses. Okay. But yeah, most of them I think cover anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000, which most small injuries that's going to pay for. Coverages that are also typically included in there is death, dismemberment. Like if something really catastrophic happens, that parent gets supplemental coverages for something as well. Now, not saying that those types of injuries won't make it to your liability, but in most cases, there's been one incident in the last, 13 years that I've seen an accident medical rate increase from the number of claims versus liability. You turn in one claim to your liability insurance and you're probably going to get faced with a non-renewal, or your premiums are going to skyrocket. It is a completely different type of coverage from how the liability is treated when losses impact it. Y'all don't be scared to use your accident medical policies. And if you don't have one, absolutely you need one.
So when you were talking in the session and all the things, one of the things I had an aha moment was, could we use this policy, which it's something that's still readily available. It's not one of those that we're saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a inexpensive, easy to get policy that I have always had positive feedback from parents on utilizing it. I don't hear this big struggle. They have to provide the paperwork.
It's a one-page claim form in most cases, y'all. Super easy process to fill out.
Could one preventative measure for centers be to almost make that a benefit that they're training their directors? Hey, anytime there's an injury, make sure we're letting parents know, so that number one, parents aren't becoming combative before the situation evolves, right?
They're automatically defensive because they're saying, okay, one, this is a licensed center. This shouldn't have happened to my child, even though there may have been absolutely no harm done.
They tripped over their toes.
Yes, it happens. Tatum ran into cubbies. That's how he got the gash. Was he supposed to be running? No. But yeah, that's it. Prevents enough claims from being filed to the liability and, a $5,000-$10,000 check being cut just for the sake of being able to close that claim. It prevents enough of those from happening that these insurance companies, I now have 3 that I can think of off the top of my head, that have made it part of their underwriting practice to collect proof of the accident medical policy and ask that the center has incorporated it into their process to offer it up front.
Yes, but I'm just wondering, if one of our strategies for helping parents maybe not become so litigious with us is for these honest accidents, no one was at fault. The kid ran into the wall. The wall has not moved, right?
That would be
these things that just happen, the broken fingers, even the broken arm for
falling off the playground.
Yeah, all of those things that could be major exposures if we handled it with a little bit more preemptive, we're here to support you. Here's this policy. Could that help maybe calm some parents down so they're not going to Facebook? They're not trying to sue you. Do you think that's a strategy some smart business owners could implement that?
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, think of, most of us are parents too, right? So think of how you would want to be treated as a parent. And, they're struggling to get by too, just as much as costs are increasing for everything for the business. These parents are facing that as well. So when they're already on the defense because they're having to pick up their child because an incident happened. It is. And then they're immediately maybe they don't have insurance, or maybe they do, but they have a high out-of-pocket deductible that they can't meet. They're
just irritated.
Because life.
It's not, you have great insurance, but you just didn't want to deal with this.
Yeah, no, it's 100% would be best practice to offer that to your families up front when something happens.
So I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. So by the way, none of this was scripted. We just totally, yeah, 100%. But could you almost, because I like, how can we take an actionable step from this podcast that's realistic, right? Like I can't go change the insurance industry from this podcast, but what could we arm owners with that they could absolutely implement? So one of the things I'm thinking is having almost that one page ready to go when we know a kid's probably going to need medical attention from the bump, the bruise, whatever, that we can arm our on-site directors with, that can be almost here's what to give the parent.
When parent comes to pick up their child. Yeah. So in most cases, the claim form, I've seen a couple of different claim forms with an accident medical policy. Usually it's half a page for the center to fill out. And it's really just the who, what, when, where, how, that the insurance company will want the details on. And then the second half of that claim form is for the parents, because the insurance company is going to want to work with the medical providers to pay those bills directly. And they can't do that due to HIPAA laws without the parents signing off on it. So the second half of the claim form is for mom, dad, parent, legal guardian to fill out, saying, yes, we authorize the insurance company to work with such and such medical provider, x-ray tech, whoever treats their child. That's it. So if you're filling that out proactively, that half page, mom, dad comes to pick up child, you say, here you go. And the company that we work with for the accident medical, they have a whole claim packet that shows you pictures and really does a step-by-step guide of what to expect in this process to help ease minds. So there's a lot of things that you can do, but I would say starting with the center portion of the claim form filled out and giving that to the parents, letting them know, this policy, if you bring this back to us completed, have your child treated first. Don't expect them to fill it out right then. Right. That's not priority number one. But when they're ready, turn it in. You'll submit it to the insurance company, and then we'll work on getting the bills from those providers taken care of for the parent.
Okay. I like it. And I like that there's an action step. Are there any other action steps you can think of for owners that would help them be more proactive? And you talk a lot about this, so this is a loaded question, but I'm thinking not your whole hour session. I know. And that's why I'm thinking, that's why the student accident came up to my head, right? Because that's a super, easy, but could make a huge impact. Is there anything else that you're like, if you don't take anything else from this, do XYZ? Other than go to one of Sam's sessions, because she breaks all of this down. So if you've ever been to a session, you're like, Chelsea, you just loaded this question up. But is there something that you can think of that you're like, if they just did the one thing? So for me, when people want to sell their school, if they just had updated financials, things would be so much easier. So is there that one thing that you consistently see?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. There's several things that I can think of, but like one big thing is not coming to me. Little things,
Okay.
really. So, fun fact, I worked at Walmart forever ago, and somehow this must be how I ended up in risk management, because I was appointed, voluntold, that I was going to be the safety team lead for the store. I have no idea how I got voluntold for this position.
And since you're like 22 now, you had to be like 12.
Yeah, I was not 22. No, I am not 22. Thank you, though.
She looks great.
But we used to have these, I don't even remember what they called. There were these little square, like absorbent pad things.
Okay.
So if you were walking through the store, like it was my job to come up with an incentive program for the entire store to try and figure out a way to work together to minimize workplace injuries. And so I created what would incentivize us. And it started out with little things like, okay, if we make it 30 days claim-free Sonic drinks for everyone. If we make it to 90 days, we're going to cater, some type of meal in. If we made it to a year, we were going to shave our store manager's legs. I actually waxed the store manager's legs because nobody liked him, and he was super hairy. But
Who was going to do the waxing?
it was not me. But
that was my first.
But that was motivating because nobody liked that store manager. But one of the things that we incorporated, okay, how are we going to actually get us accident free? Like there's all these incentives, whatever it worked for our team. Having those absorbent pads. So we made it a requirement for every team member to have something on them. So if they saw, and it, the best I can describe it, I think it had the stuff that diapers are made of. That absorb it.
I'm just picturing like
it was a pocket thing, and you put it on the spill, and it would immediately swell up, almost like diapers do when they get wet. But every store member started carrying one of those. So if you saw a spill on the floor, you're not there now guarding that spill, waiting for another team member to come in the classroom or a child. You're not trying to prevent them waiting for somebody else so that you can clean up the spill. They can clean up the spill while trying to protect the kids too. Just small things like that. To make it easy to where when they see things, it's easier for them to clean it up right away. Rugs in front of water fountains, doors, slip, trips, and falls are really common, and
for employees and
easily
kids,
preventable, y'all. And that, those absorbent pads help with that, but you definitely need something bigger at entranceways. So making sure that you have those in place. I see restaurants all the time because this is, things that I look at. We were eating at, I don't even remember. But it was still like it had just stopped raining. There's water still standing all in the parking lot. But because the rain wasn't still falling, the staff members were already pulling the rugs away from the door. And I'm like, I was having to dry my shoes really well because there was so much water in the parking lot that I was still tracking that into the store. And so just being mindful that just because it's not raining anymore outside doesn't mean that the floor outside is not, or the ground outside is not still wet. And those parents are going to be tracking that in. What else? You talked about the financials in order. One thing that I love that one of my clients does, if you ever have a property loss, the insurance company is going to want an inventory list. That's not something we typically think about. At all. Like nobody thinks about having an inventory list. And this goes the same for your home too. And through insurance and claims and how those have been handled, I've actually started my own inventory list for at home. And as we add big purchases, I add to it. So it's like an ongoing thing, but having an inventory list. And one thing that a client of mine does, they've got, I can't remember which program she uses, but it's basically a shared drive because they have a warehouse that they store stuff in. And she got tired of her centers ordering things that they already had in the warehouse. So they ended up creating an inventory list that every team member can see and access to know what's in the warehouse. And the warehouse caught fire. Already had, it's been fully repaired now, but that warehouse caught fire spontaneously.
I'm like,
if y'all didn't know, when you use like paint thinner or products to clean a grill, it can spontaneously combust in the trash can. And that's what happened in this incident. And because she already had that inventory list, I mean, it expedited the claim exponentially because everything was already, she had links to all the products that were in there, costs associated with it. So, you know, especially if you're a new center where you're already having to order all these things,
right?
I would start with that.
Okay. So there we go. So some of the takeaways: make sure you have a student accident policy in place. Make sure that your on-site staff know how to share that with parents, because it doesn't do any good if you have it, but your directors don't know how to handle that situation.
Well, and on that, let's also make sure we know what wording to use, because what we don't want to say is something along the lines of, oh, we got liability for that. Like we want them to know you've got a policy in place that will protect them, but
well, that's why I was thinking
open you
a one pager. Just
don't be advertising. We have all of our insurance at your disposal.
Right, but like that one pager of, hey, your child, you know, we understand you're taking your child to the doctor. Here's our student accident policy that will
create a script for that.
And once she does it, it'll be a link down below. There will be a below. But
coming soon.
Right. Dun, dun, dun. So, but yes, arming those on-site staff, because you know what? What if it's at the end? Because hang on, here we go. Who's sometimes not on site at the end of the day during pickup when parents might be picking up? The director or owner, right? You might have a closing supervisor and she's great and she can manage the building, but probably how to handle a potential insurance claim,
that's a good point.
Not going to be something she knows how to do.
I have to write an SOP for that.
But what if, because I like things real simple, except for evidently filming this podcast. So what if there was that little one pager that they, you know, was kind of the center cover letter and then the policy thing on the back. And then there was stapled in the file where that page is held, instructions for the person that's doing the page. Because again, you never know. It could, or the parent comes in the next morning at opening when, again, owner director might not be there. And they're like, hey, we got home and they really, you know, they were holding their arm.
Nursemaid's elbow.
And I took them to the doctor and okay, let me help you with that. Because again, I think how we leave them in that situation will determine how far that situation escalates in a lot of ways. So, okay, step number 1, make sure you have a student accident policy. We've discovered it's very affordable. It is very user friendly and it is your first line of defense.
Yes.
So let's make sure it's being used as a first line of defense. Pocket absorbent pads.
We should find a link for that.
We probably should. You know what? If not, though, wait a minute. We have diapers.
That's true. I'm pretty sure it says diapers.
But I just thought of this. Wait a minute. Why buy pocket absorbent pads?
You have diapers at your disposal all the time.
Like just throw a diaper on it.
Should be a hashtag, throw a diaper on it.
We should make a meme.
We'll do it.
But okay, wait a minute. So if pocket absorbent pads are either obscure, where you don't know where to find them, or they're not affordable.
Yeah, it's great. Grab a diaper.
Yeah, grab a diaper. Hashtag throw a diaper on it. Boom. Okay. And then the third one was
have an inventory list.
Have an inventory list. And I kind of wonder if you could take pictures and upload it to ChatGPT and he would create your inventory list. I'm not sure if it would work, but I kind of wonder if it would.
I don't know.
At least good enough to start.
If not pictures,
like video, but also
video walkthrough.
So, really, you don't have time to make the inventory list. So let's talk about what you have time to do now. Cause I'm a big fan of quick action items.
Walk through, record everything, open drawers, cabinets. You have no idea until you need it, how hard it is to remember every single little thing, all the paper, the paper clips, all the little things that are hidden in drawers and cabinets, the cleaning supplies, everything. When you want that replaced, you have to know exactly what was there, how many were there. I mean, and when it comes down to small things like, paper, we're not going to know how many pieces of paper. That's irrelevant. But every piece of furniture, every chair, the toys, the curriculum, all of that stuff adds up, the decor in the classroom. So just having a video walkthrough that you can refer back to later is going to really help you figure out, okay, well, what was damaged compared to the video of this classroom or kitchen or office, whatever, so that you can start building it up.
I like that plan. Because you know what? It would take you no more than half an hour to probably film your whole school, depending on the size. But I'm thinking that's a quick action item that could save or make you thousands, depending on the way you look at it, right? Like
it'll save you a lot of headache later on having it for sure.
Well, but being able to prove it was there could, they'll actually replace it if you can prove it was there. Okay. Yeah. Any other tips? Throw a diaper on it. I think that's the hashtag.
That's a new thing.
All right. Thank you. And we are here at Born to Teach, and it's a super exciting conference. So if you've never been, let's talk about the conference for like 2 minutes. So
high energy, which is why we are no energy.
I came to Sam at her session. I'm a little mind blown, but I've got to tell you, she brought the conference.
Yeah, she did.
And we were here last year, and it was the first year Latrice had done the conference. And I walked in, I was like,
definitely upped it this year. So I'm already excited to see what next year is going to look like.
Yeah, there's supposed to be some big announcements. Yeah, there's a sneaker
ball
tonight and SB Awards, and she's giving awards to directors and different schools. And she's done book signings. So from Passion to Payday, I got to do a book signing. Like, how groovy is that? And how awesome to make people feel celebrated. Speaking of books, so I might have heard something through the grapevine. I might have. I don't know if I did. I saw her working on it earlier. So you want to go ahead? Like, do you want to? I'm just putting her on the spot. You want to
Yeah. So the Childcare Insurance Playbook, a guide to protecting your early education business, hopefully will be printed in production, available on Amazon by next month. I really tried to get them here, but it didn't happen. It's okay. It'll be out soon, but it talks about all the things I've learned the hard way. And I'm currently trying to teach owners on what you need, why you need it, what limits you should try to ask for, understanding co-insurance. What the heck does that mean? Understanding your deductibles, all the things. There's a wealth of information in there. I also include a Mythbusters section about things that I hear a lot that is not right at all. Give some truth to those things, but yeah.
And she might need to update it.
I need to include something about throw a diaper on it.
No, it's hashtag throw a diaper on it. We're going to become infamous. So yeah, so she's got a book coming out, and once that comes out, we'll share a link. And so it has been fun chatting because we talked about doing this podcast episode when we were snuggled in our beds at a conference last year.
Yeah.
It's been a year. It's been so, we talked about doing it, and I hope it's not our last one.
Definitely.
So
we have to come back to do an update on somebody that actually throws a diaper on it.
Oh, if you throw a diaper on it, we're gonna need a picture, unless it's like something really. I think we should send a book to the first person that hashtag throws a diaper.
Do that.
So I love it. And it is high time for us to probably rest.
Yeah, dinner, both. Bedtime.
Yeah, I'm going home. I'm in Houston. This conference is in Houston. So I actually get the luxury of sleeping in my own bed, which is delightful. Yeah, hashtag Jilly.
But we are going to the spot down in Galveston for coconut shrimp. I'm excited about that because I love coconut shrimp.
Ooh.
It's much better in Galveston than Dallas. It's fresher here.
I mean, it is closer to the source. So hopefully. All right. So this has been the Business of Preschool podcast. And I've got our sparkly insurance chick, Samantha Phillips, and it has been a blast. Talk to you later.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the BOP Pod. For free tools, resources, or to connect with Chelsea about selling your childcare business, visit chelsearue.com. That's CHELSEAREUE.com. Be sure to subscribe and share this episode with another owner who could use a little less stress and a lot more strategy. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.